Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Tyranny with me, Bring It On. Now let's talk to Crass Kalia. A tall, heavily scarred bloodchainer stands before 3 bound and bloody sages. She raises her palm, bright orange with an unnatural heat, and presses it to one of the captive's eyes. His agonized screams blend together with the hiss of cooking flesh, ending only after he slumps over, passed out. I feel like I mumbled my words there. Ending only after he slumps over, passed out. She hears your approach and turns around, panting slightly from exertion. Kyros is fetid merkin, a Fatebinder out here, of all places. She winces briefly, patting a tightly wound bandage covering her ribs. I know the voice in her at wants your eviscerated heart, but I have no interest in trying to collect. Not when we have work to do. I prefer my gang save our strength to fight the disfavored, so keep your weapons lowered, and we'll do the same. So, what do you want? How do you get that wound? I let my guard down, didn't watch my flank, got slashed in the ribs by some runt sage and his ridiculous quo knife. She grimaces as she adjusts the bandages around her midsection. And what were the sages doing out here when you found them? Nothing seems to arouse these sages, more than the idea of reclaiming their precious knowledge. No doubt they meant to sneak into the burning library. Otherwise, why charge to this sad eyesore of a country? They aren't talking, though. Not that these sages could ever get past our garrison, unless they meant to take a different route. They may be soft, but they aren't idiots. They're up to something, and I'm going to find out. Well, I need to speak with the sages. Fat chance, Fatebinder. I respect your rights as Tunon's lapdog, up to a point. She jabs a finger at a shivering, bloodstained sage. Your title is the only thing that separates you from these traitors. Narat will drive a spike up my butt if he learns that I let you talk to them. So no freaking way. I can take my aggression on the sages or you. Have a preference? She grips her staff tightly and studies you intently. Well, crap. If you had asked so nicely in the beginning, we could have saved a lot of time. She turns and delivers a vicious kick to Phoebe's ribs. Have at her. What the heck do I care? Fatebinder, she's all yours. Let's see if you can do better than my men. They've all had a go at Phoebe. Probably to see if you can get that bookworm to say anything of worth first. I could just go ahead and kill her. I'll be going. Alright, Phoebe. Another interrogator. Injured and restrained, the middle-aged woman manages a weak smile between swollen and blood-caked lips. Though cuts and burns run the length of her body, her quiet composure grants her a surprising measure of dignity. Apologies if I'm running short on screams. She chuckles, wincing from some unknown pain. Ah, Sage Phoebe. You're looking like you're staying active. Oh, for the love of... Why am I not surprised to see the Overlord's most loyal fanatic on the side of my captors? Glare silently. Marching to Kyros' drumbeat already. Was this the arrangement? You preach surrender to the sages and Kyros' minions treat you like a kept pet. Now let's focus on the task at hand. Did I say focus onto the task at hand? No matter how many times I try to divulge all that I know, y'all seem to think I'm hiding more. So be it. We'll play this little game once more. Ask your questions. Wagstaff sent me to kill you. Says you're a threat. If Wagstaff sent you, a bloody cough halts her attempt to speak firmly. Then there's little to discuss. What's the story with you and Wagstaff? I figured even you Northerners know how the School of Ink and Quill and the Tidecasters hate each other. Wagstaff was the enemy. Then Kyros' minions showed up. I want the details. Enlighten me. We were friends and rivals. Then just rivals. Did you come all this way to interrogate me about such gossip? I lift her up by her bandolier. We can skip to the part about him wanting you dead. Her eyes widen with fear as you effortlessly heft her wiry frame. Point taken. Yes, we had a relationship, as physically stimulating as it was mentally exhausting. It was a tryst that spanned decades. Our schools forbade any such pairing, and common sense did so as well, but the danger only made it more intoxicating. What did you gain from your collaboration with Wagstaff? A plethora of volatile emotions and coitus-driven reconciliation, if you'll pardon my candor. She shakes her head, wincing in pain. It is a bit strange to recall such things while festooned with bruises. Again, pardon the candor. A lie. My mistake. I'm merely assuming you two work together, as I can't imagine Wagstaff discovered all that he told me about by himself. Her eyes light up, and for a moment it seems like the fatigue of repeated interrogations lifts from her face. That lousy prick. His discoveries? Excuse me. Together, he and I discovered something special. His understanding of occulted Jade's magic, and my knack for expressions. It all came together when we pulled our rings to purchase a text copied from the Forgebound. We could not come forward with our findings, as neither be rewarded for our discoveries, but rather punished for our collaborations. So our findings, like our trysts, had to remain a private matter. You don't seem surprised that Wagstaff sent me. We didn't part amicably, and the man holds grudges like no other. Part of me expected he'd hire some miscreants to delve out copious fustigation. Tell me, they ask you to bring anything back with you after the deed? An eye, a toe perchance? He asked me to bring back whatever you were carrying. Then it's as I suspected. He wants my writings. He's too late. Perhaps this is the upside of all my scrolls going up in flames. That trenchant-mouthed water warlock can't have them. Tell me about this discovery of yours. She averts her gaze. Oh, just some refinements to existing theories of water magic. Revelatory in the academician sense. Meaningless to an adventuresome, practical sort like yourself. So did you stumble upon some undiscovered accent, or some new arcane power? I assure you, such matters are not beneath me. I can't help you. The writings weren't where they were. Supposed to be. And I couldn't rewrite it from memory. The knowledge is as good as gone. Yeah, I'm gonna hit her. I'm tired of these non-answers. You smash your fist against her mouth, snapping your head backwards. Enough. No more. I'll speak, if that stays your hand. Between his understanding of fluid forms, my understanding of the preservation magic, and our pilfered forge-bound text, we sort of bumped into a most curious discovery. We pioneered an expression that affects the transition of metal from molten state back to solid. We called it Aqueous Metallurgy. Aqueous? I guess it could be Aqueous Metallurgy would make more sense. But I think the name is loftier than any practical applications that came of our work. Coming forward with our research and presented problems. When the war broke out, there became a larger concerns for all involved. I hid what I thought was the only copy of our work, but it was claimed by fire or stolen by a looter who got here first. And where did you stash your writings on Aqueous Metallurgy? I keep on saying aqueous. It was here in this village, but someone found it before. She clears her throat. No. No more playing coy. It's still here, How about this? If you kill my captors and swear by Kyros that I walk out of here alive, I'll tell you where it's hidden. I'll not slaughter them so needlessly, or convince them to let me go, but I think we both know how brutes listen only to violence. Of late, they seem to be amused with wagering on events in the burning library. I'm sure you could get them fighting if you put your mind to it. I'll see if I can sow some discord. Swear by Kyros that I leave this place alive. You will have naught but silence from me. You're in no position to make demands. I'll help you. You help me. End of story. Then we are done. She lowers her head and falls silent. I'll come back later. Might be a corpse by the time you get back, but I'll be here.
Yes.
I swear by Kyros. Alright. So we're gonna fight all these guys, but first we need to prepare. And I'm gonna get Needle Toe and Contusion out of here. I've already spoken to him, so I'm just going to blow through this real fast. Alright, we'll reread this, though. The course will be the death of us. We need to get out of here and away from the fighting. But I ought to stockpile some rings first. Otherwise, we won't last long on our own. Alright, draw a weapon. I'll help you. Your gang dies today. Take Contusion and run. Now. Do not look back. What are you going to do? He has the surrounding hordemen, who have taken note of your drawn weapon. Thank you, Fatebinder. We won't forget this. He grabs Contusion by the hand and sprints towards the edge of the village. And the rest of these guys are as good as dead. Alright, let's do some buffing real fast. Don't know how tough these guys are going to be. Let's go ahead and cast both of these on Kills and Shadow.
Will do.
She might be stuck back there. No, she's fine. Okay. How do you guys not run away? There we go. Oh, that works. Alright, let's get in here and start cutting people down. Well, let's buff up some more.
Will do. Have your head.
Oh, she's not doing so hot. She should have a healing spell. She does not have a healing spell. Pop a potion. And play it safe. Let's get a healing aura on Kills and Shadow. She's very squishy because you can't wear armor. Alright, let's go take care of this guy. We'll sunder him. Go ahead and haste. I guess Barrick needs it the most. Actually, no, let's heal up Kills and Shadow first. Kills and Shadow, you can't get up there, so come over here and help me out instead. We do have disembowel, so let's throw that on this guy, and let's see, we have False Pit. Alright, let's thrust, and
on it.
Dead, perfect. I'm gonna have to swap weapons here because we're stuck behind Barrick. Kills and Shadow can actually do anything here. Nor can I. It's a little frustrating. Let's go throw that back there. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's all we can do. Alright, Barrick.
Consider it done. Right.
Perfect. Actually, Barrick, you can taunt this guy too.
I'm afraid not. Pay attention, kids. You might learn something.
Yeah, I don't have the range I need for this. I'll just keep casting spells back here, since I can't do anything else. Alright, Barrick. That's y'all finished her off. There we go. Finally. That was so tedious. Yeah, the Great Spear doesn't reach past Barrick like I was hoping it would. The prisoner's face turns pale as you approach. You again. If Wagstaff sent you, Bloody Cough halts her attempt to speak firmly, and there's little to discuss. I've decided not to kill you. Then, you're going to help me. She visibly relaxes, loosening her rigid posture. I'll free you if you give me your writings on Aqueous Metallurgy. I need to get that right. She glances about the area and lets out a long sigh. A bunch of little typos in this text. Well, the cores are no longer a concern. If you let me go, I'll tell you where I hid the tome. Done. Now you're out of the bargain. As the bonds come undone, she rubs her wrist with a pained smile. Look to the southwest, and a smashed crate between a burned tree and the blackened remains of a house. My magic concealed its image, but if you know where to look, you ought to see it. Thank you for my life, though before you spread the word that I'm a corpse. Life might be easier that way. She slowly picks herself up, running herself the long march onward. Safe travels.
I've got it.
Hopefully she's not lying to me. Which is possible. Tome of Aqueous Metallurgy. I got it right in the first time that time. This book contains an extensive amount of information regarding how to mix forge-bound and tidecaster magic together in beneficial ways. We'll get back to Wagstaff, but first I'm going to stop by the spires, collect our stuff. Encounter in the burning library. An abrupt storm drives you into shelter of a public house built under a colossal stone overhang. Travelers from across the tiers share the space with you, rarely eyeing one another in near silence till the thin stew and thinner ale loosens the lips of the gathered. A wiry woman with midnight skin sets a large gourd on a stone near the back of the cave. She challenges you to a game of daggers, in which players compete to throw identical knives at a target. The person who hits nearest the center in 3 tries wins. The purse, she states, will be 20 copper rings. We'll play fairly. Attempt athletics. You stand and approach the woman, setting down your own twine-bound rings and challenge. The woman grins, turns and hurls her first knife, beginning the game. She seems quite confident with her hurled blade, but you see 2 daggers closer to the center of the gourd than her closest. Impressed, she offers you your winnings and purchases your next drink. So we gained favor with the Stone Sea villagers and Lethian's Crossing. And Joyful plus 20 accuracy when above 75% health. And some money. Perfect. I do like money. But we also need to grab Siren and Heb. Nice, some stuff I can sell. Let's go ahead and sell it to Rebos while we're here. And possibly pick up some... I may as well sell the shield too, since I'm no longer going to use the javelin. Well, the javelin still might be better. Because we just saw that the Great Spear isn't as useful as I was hoping in that last fight. So I'm not going to sell this yet. Alright, let's go to the library first, because they have an artifact they finished for us. The Ocean Spire. I want to get them started on their next research project. Preferably another artifact, but whatever I can afford, I guess. So plans, a Deathbringer, and we got 3 scrolls. The sages at your library combed through the ancient scrolls, searching for hints of items of power. They found a few fragments that mentioned a weapon wielded by an Archon of old that brought death to all her enemies. This ancient weapon was known only as Deathbringer. The sages believe that with the right sigils inscribed while forging, you can recreate the Deathbringer. I mean, it sounds efficient, if nothing else. Now we can afford another artifact, so let's research that. And I guess we'll have our Forge bound at the Sunset Spire, forge a artifact for us, if we can afford it. Oh, I can choose between a one-handed and a two-handed axe. Okay, I'm going to do two-handed, because my main character does not have a artifact weapon. Barrick has a dauntless, so yeah, we'll probably do two-handed here. Alright, the forge-bound assembled Deathbringer using materials extracted from the Burning Library. What am I missing? I need an Obsidian Fragment. I wonder if that's unique. Well, we can go and read about it. This axe was inspired by a mighty weapon that lies shattered in the Forge-bound Guild Hall. The Iron Blade has no name. Even that of its creators was lost to time. The known facts amount to stories of a fire that swept through the forges. The smith's conjured flames had whipped into an uncontrollable frenzy, and made the area impassable for several days. Once the flames had cooled, the axe was found in the wreckage, a single crack running down the blade, making effort and extraordinary results for naught. To this day, the axe is used as an example of art's impermanence. Desiring an equally caustic blade with improved longevity, the Forgebound sought to recreate Deathbringer. It is speculated that the obsidian shards dredged from the devastation of the Burning Library retain some echo of power from the Edict of Fire, which may be the secret to this axe's power. Now, even the Forgebound understand Kyros' magic well enough to tell for certain. So this is saying we need to go to the Burning Library for the Obsidian Fragment. So the Scythe of Years is this ability. Damage all enemies in a cone, ignoring their armor. All helpful effects on the targets are removed. Damage scales with the Deathbringer's renown. Well, that sounds really good. Very straightforward. Easy to use. Let me craft something else over here. We'll get the silken gloves for verse, I think.
Good day, Fatebind. What do you need? Well then,
Alright, Siren, you coming with me? Get rid of these two for now.
For a short while.
We'll see if they have anything to say once we get back to Bastard's Wound. Oh, first Karen's Passage. And then Bastard's Wound.
Right.
I'm actually having a bit of trouble deciding which companions to bring with me. Out of my standard party, Barrick's the only one that's out of place, because there's some association with the Beastmen in this area, so I want Kills and Shadow in my party. I also want Ebb and Siren, and Lanchery.
you hear this too, right?
Siren lightly presses her palm into the stone. I was concerned she wasn't going to react to that.
It feels like he left it for me. A message.
She tries to press an ear to the stone, succeeding only in knocking her headdress against it. He who?
Cairn, obviously. You think this magic rock just made itself?
A message?
There's some meaning in the music, I think.
She shakes her head.
I don't understand it. But maybe there's more deeper in. Let's go.
Siren pulls a crystal from the formation and slips it among her belongings. It slides free without effort. I don't see anything in my inventory. Alright, let's go talk to Wagstaff. And what I'm probably going to do off camera is head back to the Spire and swap my companions back out. Get Barrick and Kills and Shadow back in our party. Because if we're going to go and fight Bane, I mean, it would make sense to have Ebb in our party, but if we're going to find Reef-Talon down below Bastard's Wound, I'd like to have Kills and Shadow in the party. For whatever interaction they might have between the two of them. I don't know, it's hard to decide. I don't know who to bring with me, so probably gonna stick to my standard party. I like how I'm wounded. Not sure who wounded me in that last fight. Also, for whatever reason, I keep trying to look for my wound status here. I still have dysentery. I need to rest. But the wound status is over here. I feel like it should be here under your buffs and debuffs as well. The old man regards you as you approach. Fatebinder. Of all the shriveled barnacles to find, you? By Kyros' swollen tit. You? What of Camberil? Hagravar? Don't tell me you're all that's left. Step back. Let them talk. They fought the good fight, but fell to Cairn at the well. What's your excuse? How do you slither your way here? They're dead? So the militants have fallen, and you're all that's left. Screw us all. Kyros really has won. I didn't slither. It was more of a surreptitious crawl. Speaking of the lowly vermin, what are you doing with this lowlife? Lowlife? Watch how you dress me, old man. Not you. Her. The old man jabs a finger in Eb's direction. How do you let this old huckster trick you into her friendship? If you needed an adoptive mother, there are less quarrelsome whores that would do the job with less backtalk and disease. She now works for me. Figured she'd find a new pimp once Jade set sail. You should be careful. Eb's not just any tidecaster. She's the last in a long line of truly ornery tidecasters. I merely dabble in... I'm going to say witchcraft. Eb elevates it to both science and art. Let's just say I have a greater respect for the inevitability of Kyros. Not saying I've changed my mind and wish I had hitched a ride with the flotilla of cowards. Guess I'm trying to protect the tears in my own way. So I'm sure you think you are as well. You think you and those salty old queens you so adored were the only casters unwilling to flee? You fools were just dumb enough to wave your arms until the Archons noticed you. Some of us, well okay, one of us, still knows the ancient art of subtlety. Remain silent. Ah yes, what's more subtle than, what is it you're doing here? Restarting civilization in the old walls? Did you travel the tiers looking for folks who wanted to commit suicide by Bane, but needed a group setting for that extra push to get it done? Hardly. I came here to be left alone, but I'm just so darn charming and attractive. Society found me, and didn't kick it out of bed. And I didn't kick it out of bed. They'll belittle what we're doing down here. I don't visit you in your brothel, slap the phallus out of your mouth, and tell you how to be you. Need me to give you two a moment? A moment? Hardly. I can't think of the last time Wagstaff has kept up his banter for more than a minute or two. Ever since you aged into that face of a worn tangerine, we've all had problems keeping things up around you. Speaking of improbable feats of tumescence, is that little apex boy of yours still ramming your stern on the regular? Remain silent. Aldenos died of his wounds from the Battle of the Gates of Judgment. How about you? You can only assume half the reason you're here is to find some new apprentice and screw them. That's what I'd do. Remain silent. Well, yes and no. Yes with the apprentices, but I don't know. I just might stay here. We've stumbled upon something unusual here. Not sure how permanent a solution living here might be, but I've been trying to make the most of it. But your friend here changes things. The Tiecaster points at you with a scowl. We always knew outsiders would come, but short of Graven Ash showing up, a Fatebinder is about as terrifying a notion as we've imagined. Let's not bore the Fatebinder with our verbal jetsam. It's been a pleasure to... Wait, that's a lie. It's not overly disappointing to see you. There, I said something nice. Likewise. The old man shakes his head slowly as he turns his attention your way. What else do you want from me? I have news regarding Phoebe. You have? Well, out with it then. What happened? Here's a tome of Aqueous Metallurgy you were really after. You found it. Excellent. Wagstaff snatches the tome with eager hands. I feared this knowledge was lost for all time. Thank you. I assume that the deed is done. I trust Phoebe is no more. So you don't deny it's the research notes you wanted all along. Come on, Wagstaff. You don't have to falsify pretenses to get me on board with killing sages. The Tycaster averts his gaze with a huff. Considering you spared us trespassers, there were decent odds you'd spare Phoebe. I figured she'd hand you her writings to purchase her freedom. So if you did get all merciful on me, I'd at least end up with the lore I need to protect my followers. So, just what did you do with Phoebe? She's dead, as requested. The old man nods slowly, closing his eyes in thought as he lets out long sighs. Then it is done. Thank you. Fatebinder, I thought your arrival would lead us to ruin, but instead, you have blessed us with your service. You have my thanks. The bastard's wound presents all sorts of threats. The bane, sparse vegetation, the toxic water. Perhaps the oddest threat came from within. Reef-Talon, former alpha of sorts to our tribe, became wild and uncontrolled. She started to exhibit healing powers, or so it seemed. She could heal the outward symptoms of injuries, but those she treated became sleepless, doomed to waste away. Reef-Talon is gone. She fled into the old walls, but in her lies an answer to our woes. Her mystically charged blood will allow me to make purifying reagents for decades, probably longer. Putting her down would also prevent her healing others and making more sleepless. To put it bluntly, kill her, bring back her corpse, and you'll have solved our water and sleepless problems in one slice. He wants me to do an awful lot of killing. Is killing her really necessary? No, but I doubt nasty words and harsh glares will browbeat her into surrender. You want to use her blood for a purifying agent, but you mentioned her healing power corrupted people. Are you sure this will work? Confident, but not certain. You raise a valid concern, but I've used Reef-Talon's blood in the earliest iterations of my purification agent. If her blood was problematic, would have found that out already the hard way. Why can't you just make more of the purifying agent you've always been making? A losing proposition. The beastmen that guard us would need to be bled, eventually slaughtered. This can be solved by harming one life now instead of many later. I'll take care of it. Together, we might save the wound. As it happens, my eyes and ears tell me Jaspos has a crew of hunters also looking for Reef-Talon. It's imperative we find her first. You'll need two things. First, hold on to my warden's key. Wagstaff bundles a medallion from a pouch and places it in your hand. You'll need this down below. It should let you access the switches and rooms of the old walls from afar. It's essential for navigating the depths. Try not to get yourself killed down there. Not only am I grateful for the mercy you've shown our settlement, I also need this trinket back eventually. Second, you'll need the keystone to the teleporter that takes you down to the untamed sections of the old walls. Speak to Incipient Moniker. Tell her you need the keystone. Tell her you have my approval. I'm gonna go talk to Jaspos real fast. I think I unintentionally picked a side when I accepted the quest from Wagstaff. Fatebinder, the former nobleman hops on his good leg to face you. If you've a moment, I'd like to discuss a potential problem in the wound. What did you want to speak with me about? Seems you're already helping our leaders with their petty disputes. Did I say disputes? I meant their concerns for the wound. He clears his throat. There's little to do to stave off boredom when you're trapped in this crack in the world. Tensions run high, and unless you blow off steam by betting or beating your neighbors, you need alternatives. He hesitates, cringing as he continues. So, it shouldn't come as a surprise that many of our own will wager their rings for fun. You're gambling. Yes, not that I want a chance of Fatebinder's ire for my troubles. He flinches a little. One wager has grown into a kind of a tradition for us, betting on which of our beastmen might fall to the bane while on patrol. Our woundkin send hunting parties into the old walls to lure the bane away from the settlement. They're good, but death wins every wager in the end. Scribe manages the bets and tells everyone the odds, but I think he's cheating. The results haven't made much sense lately, and people are starting to grumble. First horde in a burnout village, and now you guys. Does everyone in the whole darn Tiers gamble? People take their pleasures where they can get it. You can't invade the Tiers and expect centuries-old traditions to vanish in a heartbeat. And what are the chorus if not Tiersmen forced to wear bloodied northern rags? How do you know Mel is cheating? Too much good fortune is how. We place our safest bets on the strongest beastmen, and of late, they've been falling more often than the weak. Only Mel stands to profit from that. The odds that Mel sets look right enough, but maybe that sage is being crafty in a way I can't understand. Something just doesn't feel right. Are other settlers complaining about this? Some of us have talked about it, yes. I suppose you can say I'm one of the devoted. His cheeks flush a mottled crimson, but Rostrum banishes his shame away with a shrug. And why not? There aren't many thrills to be had for me, otherwise. I'm putting the remnants of the Rostrum fortune to use. I mentioned my suspicions to both Jaspos and Wagstaff, but they're too fixated on one another to pay this any mind, so I have no one else to grumble to other than myself. Does Mel set the odds himself? No, not Mel. Have you seen our disfavored guest, Telesophia? She's the one strung up like a decoration in the middle of the settlement. He begins a hearty chuckle, but grimaces in pain from the exertion. Not exactly tolerant for beastmen, that one, but she knows how to size them up. Mel got the idea to use her insight, so she more or less sets the odds. You have to get the details from her, though. I'll talk to Mel about all this. My thanks, Fatebinder. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Maybe this is all nothing, but my gut says otherwise. I almost missed that. I wasn't paying attention to the dialogue above his head. Until I was almost past him. Because I would have preferred to side with Jaspos instead of the Tidecaster, but another quest. We'll do it that next time. I just want to see if I can get that quest from him again. Leave me be, Fatebinder. I have far too much to do. Nothing left to say to you. See, I had no idea I was choosing sides. There's no indication that I couldn't do both quests. So I accepted the one from Wagstaff. That's disappointing. Because again, I would have preferred to side with the Forgebound. Because I'm already associated with the Forgebound because I was governor of Lethian's Crossing. So I already have that, reputation with them. I don't care for the Tidecaster school. Well, that's disappointing. I wish it would have warned me, like, when I was accepting the quest from Wagstaff. Like, if you do this for me, or something, you can't do this for Jaspos, or I don't know. Either way, I'm very disappointed. Alright, so off camera, I think I'm going to go back to Aspire. Hopefully I don't run across a random encounter. If I do, then I'll pick up the episode there. I'm going to swap back out for Barrick and Kills in Shadow. We'll come back and talk to Isley. See what she wants for her quest, and continue working through our way through the Bastard's Wound. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.